And this hangout is live on air. We are 1 minute late. We're having a little bit of interesting audio problems here, but it looks like Kevin and Dorothy, that's it in the chat room. Where is everybody? Everybody off? Wait, Steve, you even left. Well, this is worth doing the live show. I will do it just for the two of you because apparently Steve got bored. Tesla's here, though. She's got on her Christmas sweater. Tessa, you want to be on TV? You want to be on the TV? Hey, Dorothy, is Joan around? I want to say hi to Joan. Oh, there, Steve showed up. You're muted, darling. And we haven't started the audio for Alpha Geek Radio yet. Now you can say hi.
Hey there. Happy holidays, NosillaCastaways.
Both of them. Oh, Shy came in, but it's Dorothy and Kevin and Shy, and that's it. Wow. Well, I guess people won't be... Man, this is so loud to me. You sure I have to have it this loud, Steve? Maybe I don't have to... Oh, I could keep that turned down a little bit here. It sounds really loud to me. All right, so Dorothy, tell me if Joan is there, because I want to say hi to Joan. All right, so Dorothy, tell me if Steve, I can hear feedback. I want to say hi to Joan. All right, let me get some things in order. Oh, I know what I didn't do. I didn't do this. I didn't do my live show organize everything thing. And that's not quite what I want, but we'll put that away. That away. We need anything from there. We don't need this. We can do this. There we go. All right. Alpha Geek Radio says we are live on the air. Let me do a little test of playback here. Let's play this back. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. And can we hear that? All right.
Barely.
You know what, Steve? Come look at the curve. It's fine over here.
All right.
Turn your volume up. What I want to do. All right. I can hear you loud and clear clicking away over there. All right. Yeah, we've been eating cookies. We got our Happy Holidays shirts on here. Steve, show me your shirt.
All right. Nope. Here. In case you were confused about the guy in the camera.
Oh, great. Kevin's saying playback was quiet.
Yeah,
all right,
it is.
Somebody tell me what's changed, and I will fix it. I will absolutely do what you guys want me to do, but you tell me where this is backwards. I don't know what's going on. I guess I could do this. What if oh, you know what? How did that get changed? Hang on a second. Let me try this for playback anyway. The other problem was the mic itself, but let me do it right about there. Okay, let me record me. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. All right, and we will, let's go ahead and let that play and just hear what that sounds like. We'll start here. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. Was that louder?
A little bit louder.
Well, it was twice as loud, just so you know. I can make it triple if you want it. Here. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com.
That sounds better. I don't know how the recording will handle it.
The recording has to, what do you mean, the recording?
If you're peaking on the recording or saturating.
No, I'm not changing that. I'm just changing how you're hearing it.
Oh yeah, that's better for us then.
Okay. So I'm doing that using the volume booster in Audio Hijack, in case anybody cares. All right. Well, let's go ahead and start recording. All right. Shy's coming by, but he's singing Christmas carols. Oh man, we should invite him into the into the Google Hangout and have him sing to us. That'd be more interesting than listening to me.
Anytime.
Shy, you want to sing for us? Rose is here. Rose, I quoted your comment from Facebook earlier today, your New Year's resolution. That was hilarious. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. What if I got all this junk open? Oh, I got to have that open. Okay, that's got to be there. That'll be good. All right, let's go ahead and get started.
He's going to do a Periscope.
Oh, yeah. Oh, all right. Cool. All right. Let me go ahead and get this started, and let's go ahead and let it rip. Oh, let's do a file save as. pause so that this is recorded in the right place. And that's going to be NC_2015. You know how I used to complain that my text expander snippets, or my, not text expander snippets, but my shortcuts from iOS would sneak over into my Mac. One day, a couple days ago, they just stopped doing it. They stopped irritating me. I don't know what was going on. All right. I asked, keep an eye out, Steve, if Joan is there.
Okay.
I really want to know if Joan is there to say hi, but I guess I could say hi either way. Hi, Joan.
I want wherever Dorothy, you are,
make her come over and say hi. I think it'd be fun. All right, let's go. I'm on the right track. Here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Macintosh bias. Today is Sunday, December 20th, 2015, and this is show number 554. The holidays are upon us and every other show is taking a break. I know that because my podcatcher is almost empty right now. And now I've got really long drives in the car to go see family and I would love to have some podcasts, but no, everybody takes a break and they're doing best of shows and all that nonsense. But the NosillaCast might be able to go off without missing a show. Timing's going to be a little bit tricky for next week though. Art and I are going to try to record while I'm at Steve's family's house, and we might get a security light and a chit-chat across the pond out of that, but I'm not sure. We have some of the logistics figured out, but all I got to do is find a quiet room and good internet at the same time, and we'll see how well that works. In any case, there will definitely be no live show next Sunday, and based on our small but very enthusiastic audience for the live show this week, I don't think that's going to be a huge problem for people. So keep an eye on the calendar. You can subscribe on the calendar over at podfeed.com/live, and if you keep an eye on that, you would know that there's no show next Sunday, and also the app tells you that too. But anyway, the podcast may not come out until maybe Monday or Tuesday, so keep an eye out for that. Well, this week's Chit Chat Across the Pond was so much fun. I had Chris Ashley of the SMR podcast on, and I asked him to come on and talk about the new hotness for Microsoft. Chris is brilliant and funny and thoughtful and a dear friend who I've never met in real life. We had a blast chatting about the Microsoft Band and the new, I think it's called the 950, the phone, and the Surface Book Pro, and the Surface Book and the Surface Pro 4. Naming's very confusing. Anyway, we had a really, really good time listening to it or talking to each other about it. And I think we had so much fun. Our enjoyment's going to be infectious to you. Like me, though, you may have to set your ever so slight Macintosh bias aside, but if you do, it is great fun. One morning, I originally put the previous week's Chit Chat Across the Pond into the feed. So if you didn't get Chris attached to the latest episode, you may have to resubscribe to the show. With any luck, your podcatcher may have a refresh feed thingy, though. If you have that, hopefully that'll work. Now, several people were kind enough to notify me of my error, and for them, I gave them all a free month of the podcast for next month for both the NosillaCast and Chit Chat Across the Pond. Now, remember that next time you think I might already know that I goofed up, you too could get free NosillaCast. Well, speaking of Chit Chat Across the Pond, last week I had Antonio Rosario on to talk about black and white photography. Now, Steve had a question about something Antonio said and then engaged in some conversation over on the blog about it. I'd like to read you some excerpts of their conversation because I thought it was really interesting and I learned even more. Steve originally wrote, I really enjoyed your talk with Allison about black and white photography. Even as a novice photographer, I got some good tips out of it. Your discussion with Allison about using color filters to enhance photos was intriguing and made sense, but it left me with a question about how digital color filters work. I hadn't thought about using a color filter to highlight an object or subject in a black and white photo. The example you gave was using a red filter to enhance skin tones in black and white photos. You explained this works because many people's skin has red tones in it, so using a red filter on a color photo while converting it to black and white lightens their skin tone in the photo. That's a marvelous tip that can be extended to highlight other objects using color filters. However, this got me to thinking about your use of the word lighten in this context. The way I understand it, analog color filters block all colors except one, which gets through the filter. So a red filter blocks out all colors except red, which passes through the filter. In other words, filters can only block light. They can't add or lighten in an image. I know that filters aren't perfect. So one, some light from other colors will get through the red filter. And two, although red light passes through a red filter, it is slightly attenuated. So from my perspective, a red filter doesn't lighten the skin tones, but instead reduces the red skin tone significantly less than other tones in the photo, resulting in an emphasized skin tones relative to other portions of the photo. So my question is, do digital color filters behave as analog color filters and only block light? Or do they also bring up the average level of the photo after filtering, resulting in a true lightening of the color which passes through the filter? Whew, that was a long question. But Antonio's answer was even longer, but I'm actually going to truncate his because it was kind of long. He said, so Steve, great question. I should have mentioned that my brain still works in the world of film sometimes, and this was one of those times. When I mentioned that red filters lighten skin, it's because when you use one when shooting black and white negative film, the result is that more light hits the negative film and is going to expose the film longer. Longer exposures on negative film, that means a brighter image. So if a red filter is letting in more light, then those parts that are red in the original scene will show as lighter when viewed on the negative and the resulting print. Now, digital color filters on a black and white image simulate this phenomenon. How they do it? I have no idea. Digital magic, I suppose. In Lightroom, you basically can convert your raw file to black and white, then have access to the color filter sliders where you can darken or lighten the different major colors in the image and have them lighten or darken in the black and white conversion. In Snapseed, you can convert a color image to black and white using a straight conversion or one of the 3 or 4 simulated color filters. Also, on the Fuji X series cameras, you can shoot black and white with a simulated red, green, or yellow filter. It's nice to see this in a preview LCD because you can understand what tones will be affected by whichever filters you use. When I did black and white film photography, the major color filters I would use were red, orange, yellow, or green, never blue. Red was great for getting dark skies, but when used on people, they'd glow white, almost like infrared photography. Orange was also good for skies, but wasn't as intense as red. Yellow was good for skies, getting rid of haze, since there was a lot of blue light in haze. That's kind of interesting. And also good on foliage. Overall, this is Allison talking again. That was the end of Antonio. I thought this was really interesting. Steve and I talked through it ourselves, and it was a little bit of a mind bender to think about some of this stuff. He pointed out that a red filter looks red to us, not because it is red, but because the only light that passes through it is red. That took me a few minutes to get into my brain when he explained that. In reading Antonio's comment about how his Fuji X-T100 camera could apply colored filters in camera that look as allow you to take a photo that has those filters on them, that sounded really cool. He can take a black and white photo in camera that already has the red filter applied. For example, I went poking around in the menus on my Olympus EM10, and it turns out this camera can do it too. Dorothy just got one, so she can play too, and so did Rod Simmons, so everybody can play. Anyway, I did a few experiments to prove myself what he was talking about. It was pretty cool stuff. I sort of think Antonio's dragging me into his black and white madness. Anyway, if you're not already subscribed to Chit Chat Across the Pond, here's some great reasons. You can hear Chris, you can hear Antonio, then you can argue with Steve and Antonio on the blog. But anyway, be sure to search in your podcatcher for it because you're not getting it anymore in the NosillaCast feed. We moved it sideways. Steve and Antonio went back and forth a bit longer on the blog too, so go ahead and check that out as well. Oh, there's Sybil. Cannot find the show on YouTube. Sybil's trying to find the show, Steve. Maybe you can send her a link on that?
Okay, let me look for one.
Set up right here. Let's go here, and I'm going to turn this on. And let's go. All right. That doesn't quite work when I do it that way. Okay, I'm going to back up a little bit. Let me hear how this sounds. Wait. Oh. Okay, you guys can hear that, but I can't. Are you hearing that playback, Steve?
Yep.
I can't hear you now.
You can't hear me?
No. I have lost
cannot hear me
sound.
at all. Huh.
What have I done? Hold on. That's interesting. It'd be a little hard for me to tell. No, that's Wi-Fi. Oh. I muted my audio. Why did I do that? Makes no sense. Okay, here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Macintosh bias. Today is Sunday, December 20th, 2015, and this is show number 554. The holiday, close enough. Might slide it a little bit. Kind of like that note to land right on. And this is show number 554. There we go. All right. Playback okay?
Yeah. Did you get my message?
About?
I am hearing a crunchy sound in the delayed hangout. Your live, what I'm hearing live is fine, and the chat room says it sounds okay, but I'm hearing what appears to be a little bit of distortion. And I just want to make sure your recording is okay. So does your recording sound okay to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
My voice right here sounds bad because I've got the microphone set to its absolute peak, which isn't usually good. Do you want to listen to the recording? You can come over and listen and make sure.
Okay.
Holidays are upon us, and every other show is taking a break. I know that because my podcatcher is almost empty. Good. They don't call him quality control director Steve for nothing. Am I wearing my gotta make sure I'm wearing my hat correctly. It's like a nice little jaunty thing. I have a hat of my mom's that was hilarious. It's got this big bouncy thing on top, but I couldn't figure out how I would do my headphones with it. And technically it wasn't really my mother's. My mother stole it from my friend Diane, which was even funnier. She was at Diane's house and she just said, "Yeah, I'm taking this home."
Oh, they want to see Tesla.
Oh, where is she? She's asleep now.
She's very festive right now.
Let's see. Don't talk for a second. Let's see if I put her right here. She's not that tall. Okay, she needs to be back here. Hey, Tessa. Tessa, they want to see you in your Christmas sweater. Come here. No, come here. Come here. Stand up, you lazy dog. Tessa. She's laying on the ground. Come here. Come here. Get up. Get up. Come here. Come. Stand up. No. Get up. Come on. Come on. Come on. Yeah. Maybe you need to get back here and call her away towards the lights or something. She's adorable in a ridiculous sweater. It's so tight it makes her look really fat. But,
come over here.
Okay. There she is.
Christmas sweater. Oh, so beautiful in that
sweater. Not dorky at all.
Isn't she pretty?
Okay, now turn her around so they can.
That's a snowman. Okay, now you got to rotate.
She's looking a little heavy these days.
There she is.
Okay, wait. We got it. Wait, hold still. Let me see if I can get a screenshot of this. Sorry about the mic. Okay, that is so funny. Hold still.
Jeez.
There we go. I got a screenshot.
Good job, Tess.
All right, that's good stuff right there. That should be our new Christmas card. All right, good. Sybil's in. Actually, that came out pretty good of me. You guys are a little dark, but she looks really miserable about the whole thing. Let me save that out of my desktop here. Christmas. Let's see. Live show Xmas pick. Should have put some light on you guys. All right. Enough tomfoolery. Let's see. Okay. Next up. Everything is fiddly. What?
All of a sudden your sound just increased.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Something happened.
You're kidding. I didn't change anything.
It's back to normal.
So now it's too loud?
It's louder.
Okay.
I don't think it's too loud though. I think it's fine.
Okay, let me just do a little test recording here.
I think it's just what we're hearing.
Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast. It looks the same. It does not look any different.
Okay, I think it's just a Hangout artifact.
Yeah, you're hallucinating.
Well, I know what I hear.
All right, here we go. I am right here. Here we go. Last week, our friend Rod Simmons came over for a visit, and he brought the new Microsoft Surface Book with him. He tried to connect it to our home network, but it kept getting in and then it'd lose the connection. I wanted desperately to make fun of him and make fun of Microsoft, but with my ever so slight Macintosh bias, but I actually couldn't do it. You know why? Because everything is fiddly now. Let me just give you a few examples. I love my new Apple TV, and I was really excited when I heard about the new Plex app that lets you view your ripped and home movies on your Apple TV. Our friend Pat Dingler shared her Plex account with us so we could watch her movies on our TV, and it worked great. But later, when I tried to use my Plex library, it got fiddly. I had our media library on a hard drive hooked up to the Mac Mini, and I had to upgrade it to work with the new Plex app on the Apple TV. All right, that's reasonable. But after I did that, I couldn't get out of Pat's library and get back to my library. Plex has a web interface too, so Rod suggested we try that. From the internet, we were able to see my library, but the Apple TV still couldn't see it, and it was a local library. So I can see the library inside my house only if I'm on the internet, but not on my own network. I still can't get it to work, and I haven't figured that one out. I also love my Apple Watch, but you know what? It's fiddly too. Lots of times I tap on things and absolutely nothing happens. I'd say it ignores me at least 20% of the time. Here's another thing. If I take my watch off after working out and I've forgotten to shut off my workout, the little green LEDs stay turned on, the ones that check your heart rate when you're doing a workout, and they burn my battery down to 0. If I turn off the workout app after I take it off, that doesn't fix it. Even if I put the watch back on and turn it off, the only way I figured out how to stop those darn LEDs is to shut the watch down. It's fiddly. I love my iPad Pro. I love the grand size. I love using it to watch video podcasts. I love the new on-screen keyboard for the bigger iPad that gives you smaller keys and all of the numbers and symbols. It works great. Till it gets fiddly. Let's say I want to start a tweet with the @ symbol. That happens a lot, right? Well, the @ is above the 2. Sentences start with capital letters, so Apple by default turns the caps key on when you go to start a new sentence. But that doesn't give you the @ symbol. If you tap the 2, it gives you 2. All right, fair enough. I toggle the caps key off. You still get a 2 because the 2 is lowercase, right? So you just told it to be lowercase, you get a 2. Turn the cap key back on, and that's when you get the @ key. So cap key on means @ only if you hit the caps key 3 times. Now, normally on the on-screen keyboard, if you kind of flick your finger up on a key, you would get the symbol that's above it, but not if it's the first character in a new sentence. I fiddle with this every day. I'm a pretty darn accomplished Mac user, but lately it seems that managing multiple displays has gotten fiddly. I have a MacBook Pro hooked up to an Apple Cinema display. Now, I know to go into System Preferences, Display Arrangement, and then drag the little white menu bar from the Mac to the Cinema display to say, make that my primary display. But every once in a while, things just insist on opening over on my Mac's display, which is not the primary display. It's fiddly, I tell you. All right, let's talk about wireless printing. Now, let's not talk about wireless printing because this is a family-friendly show. All right, here's another one for OS X. I wanted to set a couple of static IP addresses on my Airport Extreme router. Popped open the Airport utility and you can't see my router. The icon for internet is nice and green, but there's no router shown on it at all. Now, I'm definitely on the internet, so I know it's functioning, and I can see that I have an IP address, but that darn Airport Extreme is just invisible now. I even have the Airport Utility app on my iPhone. Guess what? It can't see the router either. I knew that meant that I was going to spend an afternoon of resetting the router and digging up my documentation of how I set it up. Now, you do document your router settings, right? Anyway, I just didn't want to. I just wanted it to show up. It's fiddly stuff. All right, I probably should leave Bluetooth in the same category as wireless printing, but I just can't resist it. I have a pair of Bienna Bluetooth headphones that pair to my iPhone with 0 trouble. I wanted to use them with my iPad the other day, but for the life of me, I could not get them to let go of the iPhone unless I turned off Bluetooth on the iPhone completely. I didn't want to do that because my Apple Watch attaches over Bluetooth to the iPhone, and I wanted to keep that connection going. Now, Steve and I both have Acura cars with Bluetooth head units. We have lost so much of our lives trying to switch back and forth between iPhones in the 2 cars that we finally just decided to draw a truce. Now, when we're in his car, his phone gets the Bluetooth connection and mine gets a USB cable. When we're in my car, we reverse that. You'd think that that would have caused peace in our land, but I can't tell you how much time we've lost fiddling even with the wired connection, trying to get iPod to show up on the head unit. I could go on with that, but you get my point, right? You get my point that all of these things are fiddly. We're always touching and fiddling with it, and everything's fiddly. I posted about this in the Google Plus community, and Alistair Jenks said, this stuff is getting so complicated these days, I'm just surprised when it does work. But, what about normal people? If you're reading or listening to this, you're probably, on the high end of the user spectrum, but you know who I mean by normal people, right? People like your brother who knows everything about basketball or construction or cutting hair, but doesn't care about tech and doesn't want it to be a hobby. How do we convince these people to use this stuff when it's so darn fiddly? Whatever happened, it just works. Check that connection. Antonio went back and forth a bit longer on the blog too, so go ahead and check that out as well. Last week, our friend Rod Simmons came. Grinch from Tulsa is here. Yes, we got our present, George. Thank you so much. Yum. Whoop, don't do that. There we go. All right. So what is next? Next up is... Where am I? Why is... Steve, why are you giving... That is a very odd private message you just wrote to me. Oh, you want to know if I am listening to you. Oh, nice. I do now. Yes. Alpha Geek Radio, we are near an all-time high. Yay, Alpha Geek Radio! All right. So next up is Taming the Drobos. All right. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know I could have both those up at once, but we need this one to be in the preview. There we go. All righty. Nuts. All right. And a lot of somebody's business cards about the nuts. I don't know who those people are, but we got about 12 of their business cards in the package. I don't know what that was for. All right, here we go. Let's get watch our playhead. All right, here we go. I've been working on a super challenging technical project for months and months and months now, and I've wanted to tell you about it, but I keep running into so many barriers that I was unable to overcome. It wasn't like a good story to tell. I like to say a problem to be solved, and here's how hard it was in the middle, and here's how I succeeded. But I kept just running into these brick walls that I couldn't get past. Now, I haven't completely conquered everything, but I've had some successes that I do want to give have a mini celebration about. So let's back up and talk about the problem to be solved. Some of the story you may have already heard before, but I want to bring everybody up to speed so we're on the same page. A while ago, I bought a new Drobo 5N to replace our aging and never that good in the first place Drobo FS. The 5N is a dream. It's got an SSD for caching, super fast, makes a terrific place to store giant and small files alike. I set up a Hazel script to automatically pull over my audio files that I create for the podcast, so my internal MacBook Pro drive doesn't get filled up anymore. I used to be, going along one day and I go, I'm out of disk space, and I have to go drag a bunch of files off. But now I do it with Hazel, and it's great because it just keeps things cleaned up. Steve stores his giant Final Cut Pro 10 libraries over on the 5N when he's done with those. So it's awesome. It's a really, really great tool. So much better than the old FS. Now, Drobos use RAID-like proprietary tools to protect our files from a drive failure, so we do have some fault tolerance. If we lose a drive, we can pop it out and put in a new one. So that's kind of fault tolerance, but it isn't technically a backup because our data is actually only one place. If, say, the drive controller was to go on the Drobo, we wouldn't be able to reconstruct this. Well, that's when we got the idea to use the old Drobo FS as a backup to the new Drobo 5N. Now, to simplify things, I'm going to call them the old and new Drobo because it gets really hard to keep track of the names. So I went out and I got a copy of ChronoSync from Econ Technologies, and after a bit of work, we successfully got it to sync our files from the new to the old Drobo. We have 4 terabytes of data on the new Drobo, so that took a while to get started, but after a while, it was running fine. I even did a tutorial on it you might remember called How to Back Up from One Drobo to Another. Well, for some unknown reason that will leave me lying awake at night for the rest of my life, something went terribly wrong. The symptom we first noticed was that the old Drobo was full. No problem. Steve bought 2 more 2 terabyte drives, just popped them in the empty drive bays on each Drobo, and we're back in business. It was great. You just stick them in, boom, it all reconfigures. It was awesome. Till 2 days later, when the old Drobo said, yeah, I'm full, Uh-oh, because, we didn't generate 2 terabytes of data in like 2 days. Well, I'm going to spare you the weeks and weeks and months of trying to figure out what had gone wrong and tell you that the culprit we discovered was Steve's Final Cut Pro 10 libraries. We're not sure why, but they just seemed to grow out of control when synced to the new Drobo. Now, I have to give a shout out to Tom from Econ Technologies. He has been relentless in trying to help me figure this out. We assumed that it was something going wrong inside ChronoSync at first, and he worked with his engineers and gave me a plethora of solutions, none of which have actually helped me solve the problem. But over time, I started eliminating variables, and I was able to absolutely positively eliminate ChronoSync from the root cause. We discovered that we could drag the files over ourselves, the Final Cut libraries, and they would grow out of control. I don't want to get into all the details because I didn't even take notes. It was so random, this weird stuff that was going on. But the reason I wanted to do a shout out to Tom was even after I told him, look, ChronoSync is not the problem. I'm positive it's not you guys. He still kept sending me ideas. So ChronoSync for the win, let me tell you. Anyway, near as we can figure, it appears to be something maybe about symbolic versus hard links that's giving all this thing fits. All right. Dorothy, also known as MacLurker in the chat room and on Twitter, she goes to the gym with me every other day, and she's had to listen to me blather on about this problem for months and months. I mean, seriously, she can tell you the whole story if you want it. Luckily, she likes this technical blather, and she came up with an interesting thought. Now, my syncing process uses a Mac Mini in between the 2 Drobos, and maybe it's the fact that the Mac is doing some interpretation of these files in between. She suggested if I can figure out a way to go from Drobo to Drobo directly, instead of using a Mac in between, maybe it would solve the problem. So this would also be much faster because the 2 Drobos are on a gigabit switch and sitting side by side each other, and it would be a direct one-way copy. She pointed out that right now with the Mac Mini, it's on Wi-Fi, and the files go from the new Drobo to the Mac Mini and back to the old Drobo. So instead of just scooting across that little wire between them on the gigabit switch, they're going downstairs and back upstairs over Wi-Fi and maybe being translated by the Mac OS. Now, I've set the stage for a fun, geeky adventure at this point. I want to say at this point, though, that I never would have undertaken such a crazy process as I went through if it weren't for Bart's Taming the Terminal series. Now, I'm sure as you listened to that series, you figured out that a whole lot of times I wasn't following every step he told me. And you clearly noticed that I didn't remember much from lesson to lesson. He'd say, well, we talked about that in episode 26. And I'd say, I believe you. But, my memory for some of these things isn't that great. What Taming the Terminal did for me, though, was let me know that I could do these things and that his written tutorials would be there when I needed to execute these things. So what did I do? All right, underneath the hood of probably all syncing programs on the Mac is a Unix tool called, or Linux tool. I'm not sure if Unix or Linux. Anyway, it's called rsync, the letter R, S-Y-N-C. I figured if I could get rsync running on both Drobos, I could push files from the new Drobo to the old Drobo without using the Mac Mini. Now, Drobo doesn't actually run like any kind of standard Linux. It's not like Debian or anything you'd recognize. It's some sort of mutant Linux. And the Drobos don't specifically support third-party apps on their network-attached storage devices, but they begrudgingly have something called Drobo apps. It's turned on by default on the new Drobo, but in the old one, it took a little bit of effort to go find out where it was and enable it. I then found a site called Drobo Ports, where they had posted a bunch of Linux tools that you could run on the Drobo. That was awesome. On the new Drobo, there is, when you go into Drobo apps, you can actually see some Drobo apps that you can turn on, but they didn't have the ones I wanted. So here I am over in Drobo Ports. Now, the downside was that on Drobo Ports, they sort of assumed that you had a clue what you were doing in Linux. I may have claimed to have tamed the terminal, but we all know I'm kind of a low novice if we round up. What I do have, though, is a darn good bit of determination combined with some good skill at the Google searches, and those two things combined help me to succeed. If I'm going to talk to the Drobos directly, though, I can't be using the Finder. That doesn't make any sense. That would be using the Mac. I need to be able to secure shell or SSH into them. Turns out that's not enabled by default. I downloaded 2 zipped tar files. Now, think of a tar as a ball of files in a container. And these 2 tar files had the separate executables for OpenSSH for each Drobo. I had to do everything twice because apparently it's a little different on the FS than the 5N. I followed the instructions to drop these 2 tar files into the Drobo apps folder and rebooted the Drobos, and then I was able to SSH into both of them. Sweet. I poked around a bit, kind of learned the file structure, figured out where things were, and I was good to go. Next, I copied the rsync tar files over. So this is the rsync file, the rsync application, and I'm just shoving them over on, I'm actually using the Finder to do this. I'm just dragging the files over. Now, these actually require me to specifically install them. The command is /user/bin/drobo-apps.sh /install. But that didn't work because I didn't have permissions to install software. No problem. I'll just use sudo. That's spelled sudo if you haven't heard of it before, or super user do. And that temporarily raises your permission level. But guess what? The installation of Linux on Drobos doesn't have sudo. No problem. I'll just install sudo. But wait a minute. How do I install sudo if I don't have sudo? As a joke, I posted that question to Twitter, and my friend Steve Brady responded with a link to an article that explained how to get into root so that you could install sudo. Cool beans. Now I've got sudo, and as dangerous as it is to think that I was in there under root, I didn't break anything. It's a miracle. Anyway, so now I've got sudo, I can install rsync. This goes off without a hitch, and I even got the notice that said rsync is installed and running. Yay, I'm ready. I could just rsync one file over to the other. I figured I should try a test file first, though. I'm not going to go get a giant, one of these giant library files of Steve's. By the way, one of the problems with them being so big is that every test I run takes forever. It would take weeks sometimes to get an answer to a question of how something was working. So I thought I'd try a test file. So on the new Drobo, I created two directories, testdir1 and testdir2. I opened testdir1. I created two dummy files by using the touch command. I love this command because if you touch a file name, it causes it to exist. It's kind of existential, right? If you touch it, it will exist. Anyway, so now I've got two files in testdir1, and I want to rsync those files over to testdir2. After looking at the syntax to do that, I tried it, and it failed. It turns out that while rsync was running, it was not in my path. Now, remember Bart explained path to us? I remember him explaining it to us, but I didn't understand it when he did that. I also didn't understand it when my friend Adam explained it to me a few years before Bart explained it. I didn't understand it when my friend Ryan explained it to me before Adam explained it to me, or when Mario or even Chris explained it to me before that. It simply never sunk in. Now that I actually needed to understand it, I think I finally got it. Now I'm going to use an analogy to give my understanding of path. This may be completely inadequate, but luckily I'm confident that the NosillaCastaways will correct me if this is too stupid. But this is the way I think about it. Imagine if on your Mac, the only way an application could run was if it was in your applications folder, but only official apps were allowed to go into the applications folder. If you had, say, a third-party app, you could do one of two things. You could either specify the exact location of the application on your drive, or you could tell OS X where to look for third-party apps. That second thing is what putting it in the path means on Linux. So you tell the operating system, this is where to go look for those apps. So using what Bart taught us, I could see where path was going to look, so I knew where to put my apps. I did some Googling on how to make this work on a Drobo and found some lovely instructions that explained how to put the entire Drobo apps folder or directory or whatever it is into the path. This means that whenever I put anything else into Drobo apps in the future, they will all run without any extra work. I thought I was going to have to do, every application at a time. Even better, though, doing this work, defining this Drobo apps section to go into path, it actually worked. I did my little test rsync within the new Drobo, and then and I knew rsync was working on both devices, so it actually worked. But it's only half the problem. I'm only doing rsync within one Drobo. We really want it to go from one Drobo to the other Drobo. No problem. I got this figured out. That should work, right? Of course it didn't work. When I told the new Drobo to rsync over to the old Drobo, it said, rsync's not running. Well, wait a minute. We just had this conversation, right? We know it's running. We just used it. I did it once on the new Drobo and I did it once on the old Drobo. Within the Drobos, it was running, but now it says it doesn't work. Well, back to the Googles, and I figured out that when you remote into a device, like a remote shell, you SSH into it, it doesn't run the stuff you painstakingly put in your path. Okay, fine. The next suggestion I found said that if I just created a symbolic link, that would solve everything. I have no idea what this means or why it would work. I think it's like an alias, right? Basically, you type ln for link, -s to specify a symbolic link, then you tell it where the file is and where you want the link to go. I don't get why this would help me, because if I put a symbolic link in the right place in my path, but remote shelling in never sees my path, why would that work? Well, either my instincts were right or I did it wrong, but in any case, that didn't work either. I then found out that the Drobo FS, the old one, doesn't follow symbolic links by default anyway. I found someone who suggested editing a file called /etc/etc/backup.smb.conf. All right. They said, go edit this file, add this line that says to follow symlinks. It had some other suggestions in there too, but it just said follow symlinks. Yes. All right. I did that. All right. Time for more of the Googles because that didn't work either. Oh, I forgot to mention in here somewhere, I had to also install Nano, which was how I was editing files. So I did that too. But now, okay, the symlink thing's not working. All right, fine. I found a lot of people asking about this very exact problem. And in a few spots, I found a suggestion to define the entire path to rsync every time you run it. And that actually worked. So from the new Drobo, I can simply enter rsync because I'm SSH'd in and I have that in my path over on the new Drobo. From there, I define a directory where I want it to sync, followed by a trailing backslash the directory I want to sync. So I want to do that testdir1. But I got to put a backslash at the end because I don't want it to copy the directory. I want to copy what's in it. Next, I type -A, which means archive, -V for verbose, so I can watch it working and see all this stuff go by on screen. Next, the tricky bit. This was the hard part. The way I've got to define it to tell it where is rsync on the other Drobo, I have to say --rsync -path equals, followed by the full path to rsync over on the old Drobo. All right, you with me so far? Now, follow that with -E, which means to use the remote shell command to execute. Next, we have to tell it what username to use on the old Drobo, so we enter in quotes, SSH space -L space username. And I have no idea why it's in quotes. And finally, I put the IP address of the old Drobo, followed by a colon, and the full path where I want the sync file to go on the other side. Sounds great, right? I am not going to read that to you. It's in the show notes if you want to see it. When I showed it to Bart that I had figured all this out, by the way, without Bart helping me, I did all this without Bart. When I showed it to him, he said, well, that's elegant. So anyway, it was looking good, right? So in only 4 days, using about 127 websites, everything Bart ever taught me, Dorothy's inspiration, a little bit of Twitter, and a lot of Google, I was able to transfer 2 empty fake files I'd created from the new Drobo 5N to the old Drobo FS. It was glorious. And then I tried it on some of my real files, and it failed. So after I wrote this up, I have kept badgering away at this thing, and I actually have gotten some real files to transfer. And one of the other things I figured out to do, like with these giant libraries of Steve's, is I'm tarring them up first and then transferring them. And that seems to actually move them properly. So as of the time of, let's see, while I'm recording this, I'm going to flip over and look at the Finder and see if that one finished. Yes, I have transferred a file. Wow, how big is that? Where is it? It is 193 gigabytes. That can't be right. Steve, let me know in the chat room, how big is the New Media Expo file? That one was huge. But anyway, it actually worked, and I've got this whole thing syncing. I am so excited. It's really, really fun. I'm just so proud of myself that I did this. And the thing I think about with what Bart taught us is it just gave me power, right? It gave me the power to do these things that are just it was just inspirational. It really, really made me happy. All right, I vamped as long as I could on that, Steve, to see if I could get the size. But the problem is I have, it says it's 193316866480. Must be 19 gigabyte, not 193. Let me find the, let's see. 1, 2, yeah, 19 gigabytes. Did I say 193?
What file was that, Al?
The
2014 miscellaneous?
New Media Expo one.
Let me check.
Let's see.
Yes, 19.3 gig.
Okay, did I see 193 or 19?
I think you said both.
Okay, let me listen here. Wait, that's where I said to go. Go here. Oh, no, I didn't say to go here. The New Media Expo file. That one was huge. But anyway, it actually worked, and I've got transferred a file. Well, how big is that? Where is it? It is 193 gigabytes. That can't be right. Steve, let me know in the chat. Okay, so I did say 193. All right. I think I am. Let's see. Is that the end? Am I done? What is this? Taming the Drobos. Okay, I don't need Taming the Drobos anymore. Now I need this one. Where am I? All right. All right, let's see. Okay. Did I miss anything exciting? NC 91258 is here. Glad Sybil is here. Johnny Quinlan's back. All right, Johnny, nice to see you. This is fun. It got more enthusiastic here since I left. Did I miss anything good here? Sybil say anything hilarious?
Kevin had to go. He's got some other show he's doing.
What? Do you guys agree with my everything is fiddly? Did we agree on that one? I think everybody's.
I did successfully implant the earworm of everything is awesome, but everything is fiddly in Kevin's ear. So hopefully he does that while he's recording his show.
Oh, that's good. Right, let me play this gap here. Use this stuff when it's so darn fiddly. Whatever happened, it just works. I've been working on okay, that's pretty good. Let's go down to this end and there we go. I think that's the way to do it. All right. Okay, time to record. Where am I? Well, I got to thank you guys. You guys are been on fire on Amazon, doing the Amazon affiliate link over at podfeed.com. It's been fantastic. And Amazon just came out with a bunch of really cool metrics. So they've got graphs and stuff, and I can see really easily how I'm doing, how much stuff people are buying. And, it's really fun. Somebody bought a book for their kid, and I made a quarter on that book. And that was great. A big item, I might make $3.50 or something, but enough people are doing it that it's really stacking up. And I know this is the holiday shopping season, so you guys have really come through for the show and helped us out a lot. If you've got birthdays in January, then don't forget your Amazon affiliate link over at podfeed.com and keep helping out the show. Let's see. I should mention, went back. It was not 193 gigabytes. It was a 19.3 gigabyte file that I successfully transferred over to the other Drobo. So, yoo-hoo! I'm excited. I may have finally crawled my way out of this mess. All right. Remember, there is no live show next week. The chat room has grown extraordinarily here. We have a Grinch in there, all kinds of Johnny Quinlan's in here for the first time in a long time. And Sybil's back. NC 91258. Not sure who that is. And Rose is in there. I'm not sure if Dorothy has brought Joan this week, but I hope she did. Hi, Joan. Anyway, if you would like to join the fun in the live show, you should head on over to. Why did I do that? I jumped in the wrong spot. I may have finally crawled my way out of this mess. All right. Remember, there is. Anyway, that's where I want to stop right there. Okay, I don't split very often. How do you split? Split clip. There it is. That's not what I meant to do. Whatever that was, that wasn't it. I think I want to do that and do split clip. Track, split, clip. There we go. There we go. Okay, I want this one. All right, get rid of that. Puffy jumped into the root cellar. What is he talking about now? Never clear. All right, let's see. But I'm afraid that's going to wind us up for this week. Do not forget to send in your dumb questions, comments, and suggestions. If you've got a review you've been meaning to do, you got a little bit of time off, maybe you want to do a recording for the show, because, I'm going to be traveling and having some fun with the family, so I'm not sure how much content I'm going to be able to come up with. It would be a great time to submit that. You can do any of these things by sending them to Allison@podfeed.com. Be sure to follow me on Twitter @podfeed. Check out the NosillaCast Google Plus community. We've been having a lot of fun this week, a lot of great comments, things going on. It's a lot of fun. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights, except not Sunday night, at 5 p.m. Pacific time, and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Did I say not Sunday night? I meant not this Sunday night. You missed the question above asking if you have root access to the internet. Oh dear. That would be into the root cellar. I got you. A live show, head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights, except not Sunday night, at 5 p.m. Pacific time, and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening, and stay subscribed. The root cellar, that's good. All right, so we'll turn on the audio. Let's see, we got to go. What's wrong?
I assumed George was talking about you getting root access to the Drobos.
No, he apparently...
There's a question Kevin asked about whether you had root access to the internet. Scary thought.
Are they being silly? Silly people? Yeah, that was silly enough, me having root access to the Drobos. That was kind of terrifying. That's just anybody who's knew me, like when I was working. I mean, that was just the ongoing joke was the fact that all my the sysadmins that used to work for me would just be terrified at the idea of me having root. One guy accidentally left. He was helping me with something, and he logged in his root onto one of the servers while he was in my office. That was not a good thing. I went and found another sysadmin to find out what could I do that was terrifying that would make this guy crazy when he came back. But
and
still, I didn't hurt anything.
Let's
see. Stay subscribed. All right. I think we are good unless this gap came out wrong. Hey, Joan, but I'm afraid that's going to wind us up. That was kind of a weird gap there. But I'm a little, what is that? I hope she did. Hi, Joan. But I think that's an intake of a breath. Let's see if I can get rid of that. This is going to be hard. Oh, I don't have great fidelity on this. Let's see. Maybe that was on the right side. All right, let's try that. Joan this week, but I hope she did. Hi, Joan. But I'm afraid that's gonna. Ooh, I did it. Oh, but that means I wrecked the other end. Let's see how that's probably within the margin of error, though. Subscribe. Boom. Save. Has anybody been yelling save to me? I wonder if we're ever going to get a new app out of Donald, Steve. What do you think?
Well, he says he's working on it, so hopefully we will here. Yeah, I have noticed the I'm not getting logged off the iOS app like I used to, but I am seeing the strange scrolling behavior still.
He says he started like over-ish and got things much better, I thought. All right, sound, bounce document to new file. But what? I thought he found, he found a new chat client. That's what it was.
But he hasn't released anything new, right? Not a beta or anything to test?
I don't think so. I do not think he has. All right. Okay, this is 15. Why doesn't it assume the same name? 12, right? Kyle is 25 years old now. All right, we are a wrap. Merry Christmas to everybody. If I don't see you guys, I hope you have a safe and happy holiday. Hope you get lots of fun tech toys. Maybe you get a tech toy and you do a review for me. That would be awesome too. And I hope you guys all, like I said, everybody stay safe and stay happy. You want to say goodbye, Steve?
Goodbye and happy holidays to the NosillaCastaways.
All right. It's Grant. I'm going to answer the phone and talk to my brother. How's that sound?